Thanks, Mindy. It's great to be able to share this time together with you and with the folks who are able to join. And thanks for that intro. Yeah, so just by way of quick background, like probably some folks on the call, maybe been around Agile for a while. I've been in the industry for quite some time. And in fact, just to tell a brief, introductory story. In 2006, I was working at the Secretary of State's office in Colorado. We're in downtown Denver, Colorado, and I'd been in IT for a while. I'd earned my project management professional. I was on a multi-year, multi-million-dollar project. Maybe some of you have been on a big project like that. It was a waterfall project, and things were going okay. We were in the third month of the sort of design requirements gathering. And I remember I'd taken this class in school, a college class, no kidding, called like Eliciting User Requirements. I remember thinking, this is very strange. Like how am I supposed to help people think about like, things they don't even know about? How are we supposed to get these requirements? So, we're months into this program. And I remember walking by this conference room. I looked in the conference room, and it's an IT conference room. And, you could tell there were developers in there, because there were laptops all over the countertop. There were empty pizza boxes. It smelled like feet. This kind of this strange dark place where all these developers worked. And posted on the wall there on the window was the Agile Manifesto. This is 2006. So it'd been around, whatever, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. So 2006, I read the Agile Manifesto. I remember thinking, like, this is better. I like this. I like this. Yes, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Yeah, I'm for that. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Yes, I'm in. And when I say I'm in, I mean since 2006, I have not worked on a waterfall project, and I've sort of made this pact with myself that says I'm just never gonna do it. I'm only gonna take a lean and agile approach to not only projects, but to like how I live my whole life. And I've been just a passionate agile evangelist ever since. And at the time, I was working in the Secretary of State's office of Colorado, and then moved into a global nonprofit where I saw, in the nonprofit space, man, you've got to be lean, you've got to be agile, because you're operating on this very, very shoestring of a budget. This was a $1 billion billion dollar organization. It was a small nonprofit. It was a big nonprofit, but still, your OI, your operating income is still thin, and you have to be lean and agile. And I just have sort of share that story to share. That was my introduction in 2006, and since then, I've worked in for-profit and nonprofit. I've worked at state and local government. I've worked global organizations and big shops and small shops. I've even worked at some of the Fortune 100 companies. And I've been able to travel around the world. I've been able to teach Agile and share Agile practices in parts of Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, and right here in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, where I'm coming to you from now. And it's just been a real pleasure and privilege to be able to be an Agile coach and full-time trainer. Over my last, whatever years that is, 16 some odd years with Agile, one thing that's fascinated me, this is sort of amazing, is that the basic structure of training, our approach to training, hasn't really changed. My first Agile class was 2 days in person, sort of sitting down. Maybe this is you. Maybe your first training was Agile training if you're on the call tonight. Sort of sit down and get ready with your notes, and hope your instructor's having a good day, because when she's going to teach, she's like, this is it, And sure, look, there's different sort of courses out there. There's different names. There's different certifications. They're all around this sort of fundamental premise of agility, though, aren't they? The foundational lean and agile mindset is the same whether you're you got your ICP from IC Agile, or you got your PSM from Scrum.org, or you got your certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance. The basic premise of Agile, like none of them own that, right? Agile is a premise. These practices, these mindsets, they're sort of global in nature. So by and large, training hasn't changed that much. Like, how do we do? But what's interesting is, like, what has changed? Well, like, technology has changed. The speed of change around us has changed. The availability and pervasiveness of the internet pushed out to your device as fast as you want it. I was outside of Nairobi, Kenya, traveling on a dirt road over to a village up there, and I was working with a global nonprofit called Compassion International, and a wonderful organization. And I remember passing this village, and seeing this group of Maasai village warriors. And when I say Maasai warriors, it's the picture you have right now in your head, okay? A red dirt road, a bush field, and long dress, necklaces, big headdress, and picture a Maasai warrior. And in his other hand was a mobile device. I remember thinking, well, this is kind of interesting. Technology is pushing out that last mile. Technology changes. Technology has changed. Connectivity has gotten radically improved in places. Here's another thing that's changed. People just don't have time. Like, we just don't, right? Come on. We just don't have time, we are very, very busy people. And sometimes these devices help us, and oftentimes they don't. But we are very busy. People don't have time to just sort of, sit and carve out to learn the fundamental Agile training. So we sort of realize that ironically, Agile training isn't Agile. Agile training isn't Agile. And you know what else? It can stall your transformation. Now, your Agile transformation can stall for any number of reasons, but one of the reasons could be this is too hard to get everybody in the foundational mindset. I was on a call today, no kidding, I was on a call today with a client. I work at a pretty large consulting firm, but I was on a call with a client today, and they were just sort of sharing with me that they've been trying to do this transformation for some time, and they just are sort of stuck. And they were wondering about it. And as I sort of listened to the stories, what you begin to realize is, wow, like, we just aren't thinking about things from an Agile mindset. We aren't trying to eliminate waste. We aren't trying to relentlessly improve. We aren't trying to improve our daily work, right? The most important thing we could do at any given time is improve our daily work. That's the daily work. There's an old saying, it says, improving daily work is more important than doing daily work. Well, that's an Agile mindset. And it's clear that just hasn't been the case. Lots of Agile transformations fail. Now, again, it's not entirely because we didn't do training well, or we didn't make time for it. Come on. There's plenty of reasons. You can start to talk to me about culture. You can start to talk to me about leadership. We don't know what value is. We're not aligned. Yep, that's all bad. And if you don't get everyone on a foundation of an Agile mindset, man, you're just setting yourself up for trouble. So we got to make it easier. So let's talk about this sort of traditional approach. Traditionally, I said this. Let me sort of give you some examples. I said that the Agile, 2001 Agile Manifesto, lean principles going back to the 1940s, all that's been around a while, right? But training, by and large, hasn't changed. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's think about training today. Most training is fundamentally delivered in big batches, 2+ days, large chunks of content, creating this separation between the learner and the real work. The effectiveness of the instructor is diluted as well. Additionally, in most instructor-led courses, the expert spends nearly all of their time lecturing, telling the same anecdotes in hope of, driving home key constructs. And listen to this, the instructor, like, you're hoping you're getting the instructor's best day. Hope the weekend wasn't too hard. They come in on Monday and maybe they're a little foggy, and their notes are a little blurry, and maybe they're not on their A game on that day. The learner is responsible for applying the concepts to their actual work because the instructor is removed from that. There's no contextualness or stickiness to the training. It's like one and done, and you hope you got it. And instructor-led training is push-based. So we have the big batch dump truck, We have this sort of instructor as expert, and then third, it's not pulled when the user's ready or the learner's ready. It's push based. It's when the instructor is ready. It's on the instructor's schedule. It's when the course is available. I've got to get Agile Foundations for my team. When's the next class? Oh my gosh, it's not till June. Well, it's May, whatever today's date is. It's May 11th. I don't have a month to wait or 2 months. I mean, a month is aggressive. The lead time on instructor-led classes is big, right? It creates a gap between the point of learning and the point of need. And additionally, this is interesting. Consider this. And here's the answer to your poll question, by the way. If content from an instructor-led course isn't immediately practiced or applied, it's mostly lost. Research has shown that only a quarter of information is retained after 7 days. So you lose 75% of information in 7 days if you don't use it, if you don't apply it. Most Agile training is designed to be a one-time event. When it's over, okay, so it's it, right? It's over. Okay, hope you took good notes. All right, we said that. Hope you take good notes. And then you end up with that notebook on your bookshelf, right? The notebook on your bookshelf that you never look at again. Come on, I know it. I know. I've got binders behind me that I never look at. And if you don't apply it, what ends up happening? Well, what ends up happening is you're too far away and you just I forgot all about it. That's what ends up happening. We forget about work. Now, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be another way to do this, and there is. We're not alone in this. So I with two of my dear friends, I own a small company, and we do this differently. We bring a different way. We bring things in small batches. Smaller batches go through systems faster. It's a bumper sticker, write it down. It's true at the grocery store. It's true on the highway, and it's true with your development practices on teams. So training content is to be broken up into small, independent, consumable chunks. They're specific and relevant. They can be picked up at any time. They can be consumed at any time. And instead of instructor as standing in front of the class and sort of saying, thus saith the instructor, it's instructor as coach. We come alongside the learner and enable them to consume this content on demand at their own pace. It transforms the role of instructor from lecturer to coach. In this model, it focuses on hands-on application of concepts. And you know what else? It's ready when you are. Like, it's a pull-based system. Whoa, this is a lean principle. All you lean agilists on the call tonight know this. A fundamental construct of lean is the ability to pull your work, not push it. It's a pull-based model. Today's the day. You ready to learn today? Today's the day. You ready to start right now? Boom, we're ready when you are. No need to schedule, do it. As often as needed too, come back to it. It's not a one-time event. It's durable, repeatable. It's of excellent and high quality because we've captured and contained only the best and thrown out the rest. And then it's very, very sticky. It's high retention through repeated exposure. Knowledge retention is amplified because we're repeatedly exposing the learners to small bits of content, small bits of consumable content. So we think it's time. Like, it's time to make a change from one-time learning experience, big batch learning, to organizing into small chunks or micro learning. From on the left there, from coach as teacher or trainer as trainer teacher, to teaching to coaching, moving to coaching. And instead of where learning is pushed at the coach's or trainer's convenience, now let the learners pull when they're ready. Instead of just hoping that learners retain everything from class, improve retention with frequent repetition. Allow them to pull it when they want it, again and again, whenever it's ready for them. Now, look, in fairness, this problem isn't unique to the Agile training industry, is it? This pattern of learning, as sort of where the teacher talks and the student passively listens, it's a cultural norm that's been drilled into us for generations. It's been so ingrained that most of us don't even really stop to question that could there be a better way? Well, sure, there's a better way. One of those better ways is called microlearning. There's an opportunity for us to shift how we think about training and start to move towards a more consumable model with the learner in mind. Look, we're not the only ones at Kairos. We're not the only ones that think this. There is a large micro-learning movement that's radically rethinking learning and development. And let me give you another one. There's this idea of the flipped classroom, pioneered by John Berkman, where the traditional classroom lecture, that time where the teacher stands in front of the class and talks through lesson material, instead of that, that's recorded and made available to the students to consume on their own time as their, air quoting here, homework. So now the classroom time is done. The learner pulls the work during the week, and then the classroom time is available to focus on interacting with the students as they practice applying the material. It's called the flipped classroom. A really cool construct that we're seeing more and more relevance in our industry as Agile foundational experts. And so it is time. There is a time now for us to begin thinking differently about Agile training and how we bring it forward and how we begin to help our organizations transform. You can't be wasting time, valuable time, trying to re-explain to everybody what happens in sprint planning. Like the team should know this by now, And for executives, for leaders who maybe don't need to really understand the five events within Scrum or the three roles now called accountabilities, but they may not need to know those. Okay, well the executives on their own time can pull like a foundational video and watch that. And it's got some interaction in it so that it becomes sticky and usable to them. So we believe that Agile training, by and large, just has not been approached. This is not Agile. There is a better way, and that's part of the reason why we are such big fans of this kind of micro-learning approach. I do want to pause here, and I've got a lean coffee ready for the next section, but I want to just check and see if there's any questions for us. This is a good pausing point. So Mindy, let me see. I'll open the chat window, but you said are there other poll question links? I can't see those. So
the poll question link is at the very top. There aren't any questions. It's just stuff that I post normally. So
I got you. Okay.
Yep.
The poll,
and there aren't any questions in the LinkedIn Live. I've been monitoring that as well.
Okay. So
yep.
So go ahead.
Yep. No, you're good.
So what I'd love to do here is, as we can kind of pause, that's the end of like presentation, because who wants to listen to presentation all night? Nobody. But what we could do is move into something called lean coffee. We have a pretty intimate group here. Looks like just a handful of us. If y'all are open to it, if you would check out the chat window, there's a link in there for lean coffee. And so I'm going to introduce, we wanted this meeting tonight to give you a hands-on tool that you could go back to your workplace and say, oh, wow, I learned a new technique. It's part of the Agile approach to Agile training. And lean coffee is an agendaless meeting. It's where we're going to talk about the most important stuff to the most people in the room. Short story. This is a tool we use. It's called Lean Coffee Table. Hopefully you guys go ahead and click on that. And I see a couple people coming in. I see Craig. I see Greg. Yep, I see you guys coming in. Thanks. And Frank, yeah, good to see you over there. Click that link and log in. And it's pretty straightforward. You've got a section. Well, I'll just share screen. I'll just show you my screen real quick. You've got this section right in the middle there where you can add a topic. You should be able to see that now. Add a topic. So what you want to do is go ahead and add in any topic. You can say, I want to understand lean transformation. These are topics you want to talk about. You don't necessarily even have to know the answer. You'll hit add, and then boom. Now we've got a new card called lean transformation. We've got another one on microlearning. So let's brainstorm. I'll set a timer here for just a few minutes. I'll run it on my phone. Go ahead and start. If you're logging in, go ahead and start adding those questions. Everybody just start adding topics. Go ahead. Go ahead and start adding those topics. Anything you want to talk about tonight, that'll be how we run this. And I'll stop my screen share here. So I see some topics coming in. Thanks everybody who's entering those. That's great. Got my timer running. So just a few more minutes on that. I see some people, some overachievers already voting on things they want to talk about. I see you. But for now, just go ahead and enter in those topics. What are topics you'd be interested in talking about? And hopefully you'll join me in the discussion because I don't pretend to have all the answers. How long should a micro lesson be? That's a good one. How to cover different experiences. Oh boy, yeah, for sure. And this can be broad. You look around the room here, you've got some Agile knowledge in the room. What other Agile questions might we have? Feel free to pop those in there. I see some more coming in. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Keep those questions coming in. Just a minute and a half left and then we'll vote. But yeah, it'd be great to hear from you. Any other thoughts or questions, topics you just want to chat through this evening? Let's get them in that chat window. I mean, sorry, the lean copy window. I'll put them in the chat window. That's no good. And Mindy, I'd love to hear from you as well. Be great to get some questions from you or anybody else at the Expert Agile Club. Just less than a minute now. So if you're adding topics in that link, again, the link's in the chat window of the Zoom chat window, and you can type in your topics in that topic window. All right. There's our little timer, so we'll stop there. Now what we're going to do is you all should be able to vote. You have 3 votes, and you can add all 3 votes to one card. You can spread them out, 2 votes on one and one on however you want to do it. Go ahead and start voting. I see we've got a number of people already voting. You just vote by clicking the vote button on the card, and that'll do it. Just click on the word vote, and that gives you 1 dot on that card. You have 3 dots to put on any of the cards you want. So you kind of see our topics there. Take a moment to read them. Thanks everybody for engaging in this. Great to see you. And we've got Tracy and others. And if you have another topic, maybe it's not too late for that, but we'll keep going. All right. And just another few seconds on that. We have a couple people left to vote. When you're out, you get a big dialog box that says no more votes available. All right, a couple more votes from our friends still waiting on you guys. No rush. We have just a minute here, just about 60 seconds. All right, just a few more seconds. So Tracy and Gaspar, Frank, you got a couple votes left. If you want, feel free to vote more times. You do get 3 votes, so you guys have used 1. Jim, you got some votes left if you'd like to use them. All right, we'll go ahead and start the discussion. So on your screen, if you're looking, this sorts now by the most voted items, and this is kind of fun. So again, we wanted to give you a tool that you could use in the workplace. You can do a lean coffee tomorrow. You could use lean coffee table, or there's others. You could even use a mural board, or even just a document, a Google Sheets if you want. You could do that. But our number 1 topic is called teaching executives. Looks like Jim put that in there. I'm gonna go ahead and move it to discussing, and then once it's there, then that's going to start our timer. So let me go ahead and drag that over there. And that starts the discussion. We'll do 4 minutes and see where we're at. So the clock is running. Jim, did you want to give any more background on teaching executives, what you had in mind there? Maybe give us a little more flavor there. Sorry, is Jim able to unmute and give us a little more background on that card? Hey, there you are.
Yeah, essentially one of the things that that I look at is while we have our knowledge workers and they're working on teams and various different other things, and they can do things that are remarkable. I mean, I've had a couple of teams that they were awesome, but the whole idea is because I enabled them.
Yeah.
However, okay, there's this one thing that I bring up in retrospectives, and I did this at Capital One, and that was I ran into a situation where we're doing, what went well, what didn't go well, what can we do better? And as we're going through some of the stuff that didn't go well, what we did was start identifying, okay, what the team could improve and what they couldn't. And then what I started to do was I started selecting, okay, from what the team can't do, what's important, what's important to the team that they can't do.
Okay.
And what I did was I brought, in this particular case, it was a problem with the QA testing environment. And very quickly, what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and raise this up. And immediately I got a couple of members of the team saying, hey, we don't want to rat out this team. And I said, what do you mean? He said, we don't want to rat them out. I said, let me ask you a question. I know you're a conscientious team. Are they equally as conscientious as you are? And they said, absolutely. So then if they can't do anything about it, but it's impacting them, okay, this is an impediment, but it's a management impediment because remember, while we can do our work, okay, only management can change the state in which we work in.
True statement. Yes.
And so the big thing here is teaching, getting the management and all the executive leaderships understanding what their role is in Agile, because one of the biggest faults that I've seen, and I've been at this since 2012 with Agile and then Lean since 2007, was that they never talked about what management's role was in it. It was always about the team. It was always about creating things. And that actually created a situation where managers weren't all that crazy about doing that, very simply because, well, gee whiz, am I going to lose my job?
Sure, right.
Yeah, and so the important thing is to be able to go ahead and train executives who don't have a whole heck of a lot of time to understand their role and the fact that how critical they are in terms of adjusting the environment so that their people can excel and the company can deliver.
Oh, yes. Wow, Jim, thank you for sharing that story. You're hitting right on some wonderful topics, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think that it allows us the opportunity to spend a few minutes talking about that. Now, the intro did run through our timer, so I'm going to reset the timer. Jim, it's a good question. Thank you.
Sorry.
So that's good. No, please don't be sorry. I really needed the background, so thank you. And also love to hear your experience. Gosh, you and I should get a cup of coffee at some point. But what's going to happen now? The timer's going to end, and we're gonna extend this topic so we can talk about it. And if you just click on extend topic, you'll see everybody gets a chance to vote. And so then it's kind of cool the way the tool allows us to do that. So we'll extend the topic. Now, so Jim asked, how do you train executives? They don't have time, but they're so critical. If I could maybe just throw out some ideas. Yeah, they don't have time. Oh my gosh, they're not coming to 2 days of like the Scrum Master role and the product owner role. They're just not going to do it, right? The C-suite executive, she's way too busy. What we need to do, this is my opinion, what we need to do is equip them with making the knowledge readily available, and then in a coaching fashion with them, help them to begin to be able to have access to the material that's easy to consume, reduced friction, make it easy. And then second is contextualized to the C-suite executive. And what I mean by that is she probably doesn't care how many Scrum events there are.
No, he doesn't.
Right? So we need to help her know what does she care about. And here's where I think Agilists can help. We can't just sort of show up and say, Well, hey, you don't have Gantt charts anymore. You don't have red, yellow, green dashboards. Okay, maybe, but what does she have? And we need to be able to replace that. Those are just some of my thoughts, but I'd love to hear from other folks on it. We have some smart people on the line here. Other folks, how would you answer Jim's question?
Hey, Jim, it's Greg. Yeah, I think that's the classic challenge, and working at a big consulting firm as well. One of the biggest challenges we have are it doesn't even have to be the senior executives, but just more senior level folks.
No, you're absolutely right.
Tend to not join in on that training, and there is a huge time pressure. So I think one of the areas that we're experimenting with is how can we sort of distill it down, get rid of the fluff, get down to the business aspects of why these principles and values are important.
Okay.
And find ways for them to either consume some of it on their own, and or small group sessions, or even one-on-ones. And we're going to do some experiments in the remainder of this year on, and in fact, we just put out a survey to sort of say, hey, what's your preferred method of learning, and how much time do you have a week to learn? Right? It's easy for us to just assume, and again, it's sort of playing to what Mike's presentation was about is, oh, well, training's 2 days, and we can split that up over 4 days if you like, and they're your options. So what would you like? And instead, we're kind of saying, well, let's look at this as we would with any Agile project, and we're asking the client, what is it you need? How could we help meet that goal? And then we've got the expertise. We'll come in and do it, but we'll package it up in a way you can consume.
Well, one of the big things that I see here is, okay, yeah, we need to go ahead and make the information concise and memorable.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is, and since you pointed out, they don't need the fluff.
Right.
We need to go ahead and tell them what their job is.
Yeah.
In the
That's
environment, case in point, instead of a middle manager, all right, a project manager. Okay, what's their job and what should be in their appraisal?
Yeah.
And two things. Number one, how many impediments have you removed so that your team could excel for this quarter or for this period? And number two, okay, are you meeting with your people periodically to go ahead and find out what their personal, how they're proceeding with their personal goals, growth goals?
Nice. Well done, Jim, and right on time there. Now, this is the fun part, right? We as a team get to decide, do you guys want to talk more about this or end the topic and move on to the next topic? This is one of the beautiful things of a lean coffee. So far, the end topic is edging out. Maybe there's a couple more votes out there. If you haven't voted, click on the big button and decide. Oh, way to tie it up. Come on. I need a tiebreaker now. And we're tied. 2 to end and 2 to no preference. There's got to be some more voters out there. I used to work in elections. Okay, end topic it is. I was about to say we're going to have a recount. All right, so I'm going to move that to discuss. Here's the next one. This is actually my topic. It does say Chris Palmisano on the thing there, but that's because I'm. So what Agile training is needed in the future? This is more of me asking you. I'm doing a little product research from our small friends that are with us, a group of friends that are with us tonight. But what Agile training is needed in the future? If you have an opinion on this, would you unmute and share with us what's coming? What's needed next? Anybody? Would love to hear from you.
Learning about value streams.
You think it's value stream?
Yeah.
I think it's a good one. Yeah. I think it's often said and not easily understood. Just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't understand it. Like I struggle. I find it hard. I find it a little difficult to understand value streams. Great example, Jim. Yeah. Anybody else? Other thoughts?
Well, I would second Jim's the value stream, and because you can also relate that to the notion of system. I think a part of the trouble with some of the training, and one, you can't deep dive enough to understand, right? We use these words, we use the jargon, and I think we hand wave and gloss over a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And there's really deep dive, like, oh yeah, let's focus on the system we're working within and what's the value stream and what does that really mean. But to actually take it serious and understand, trying to relay the why is this important, I think is critical for folks. So yeah, I like the idea of value stream.
I can share one idea to make it simplify it. Your value stream should tell you everything the company does to deliver a product or service. And then figure out what the waste is in there. And number two, what IT support can do if they partner with the operational team, operational value stream.
Nice. Nice. There you go. A little value stream micro learning session right there. Way to go, Jim.
Yeah, I think the other challenge with some of those is trying to get the leadership to understand why they should value the value stream and understanding it. I know that sounds silly, but I happen to work in federal, and we're not contracted to help me solve my value stream problem per se, right? Although it could go miles in improving how effective they are in delivering value if they really understood it. So I don't know, it's just that weird, what I want are these features in this product, and nobody wants to know, how do I do the work? How does it get done, right? Mike, you said that a lot, like, how do we do what we do on a regular basis?
Yeah, and most people just show up to work and start turning wrenches. To borrow the analogy, you just show up and start cranking through stuff. Mostly it's email, and then it's probably go to some meetings. And then you're like, pull the next Jira story, crank, crank, crank. Rarely do we pause and go, what is this flipping thing? Well, how does work get to me? Where does work go after me? But, and you want to just give them a copy of The Goal by Eli Goldratt and say, just please read this book for just a minute. I know it's not the value stream, but that's kind of, I know there's differences, but yeah.
But it's a piece of the puzzle, right? And there's lots of local optimizations, right? Well, if we could just make development go faster, you could cut their time in half, and you probably still have a long lead delivery cycle, because the front and the post are going to hurt you.
You've sub-optimized everything else to optimize. Developers need to be busy developing. Yeah.
Oh, even if they're building the wrong thing.
Yeah, right, Jim. Nice. Even if they're building the wrong thing. Yeah, but at least they're busy, All right, it's our turn to vote. That was fun. Thanks, everybody. Let's vote. What do you think? We have some other topics on deck. We can stay here. Let's hear your votes. Just click any one of the votes on your screen there in the lean coffee table. And we're tying it up. Thank you. I'm going to take away the no. I'm taking away the no preference, y'all. Come on, we gotta be hot or cold, no lukewarm here. So no preference. All right. I get to decide since I'm the facilitator. We're gonna move it on so we can get to Greg's question. This is interesting. Let's just do 3 minutes on this one because we kind of touched on this. So this is Greg says, how to get more leaders and managers to find time for training. Yeah. I think it's did you want to expand on that, Greg? Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that I think we kind of stepped into this a little bit with Jim's original question on the challenge and why it's important for them to understand things better. But yes, so I kind of relate a little bit of what we're experimenting with. I was just curious if anybody else has really dug in and sort of asked leadership, like, how would you like to learn, so to speak? What would be helpful? Because they clearly don't like signing up for 2-day classes.
I'd like to add something.
I think I heard Frank. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, so from my experience, it's a question of, well, what are they doing now? Is it working or not working? If it's not working, then you need to do something different. And you make time for things that are important. So it's really explaining this, but getting their buy-in. So you ask them what is important to you. And if it turns out, oh, they want to improve this area, that area, well, would this type of training, what exact type of training, what kind of information would you need in order to make a better decision or to go in the direction you want to go? And that then leads them down the path of that, of making time for that particular type of training. It might have to be tailored to them, not specific or generic.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. I like that, Frank. Yeah, that was good. It's the make time for things that are important, which it means we have to be able to relay its importance, right? Have that conversation.
Yeah, one of the things I like about the way you said that, Frank, is something that all of us as Agile leaders need to do is make sure we really understand the problem we're trying to solve. And maybe it's, is it really that they don't have time for training, or is it? I think we would do ourselves a service to sort of ask questions around. Is it really that you don't have time, or is it that you're just not interested, or you think it won't improve? To, as Frank said, you're happy with where we're at.
I've got one other thought.
Yeah,
they don't know, and they're afraid to go ahead and expose the fact that they don't.
That's good. That's good. Right. Happens often, and as Agilists, we're always transparent. So, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Frank, Greg. That's good. Okay, back to the voting box here, and we're coming up. It's about 15 minutes left of time, so we're gonna let you guys choose here. Seeing a couple end topic votes. Not everybody's voting. We do have about 8 or 9 of us in the room, so feel free to vote. A couple more votes there. There's a no preference. You guys, what's the no preference? Okay, I'm finishing it. All right, we're moving on. Thanks, Mike, for finishing it. Okay. So Craig asked how to cover different levels of experience. Boy, that's a good question. It's sort of here is the 2-day class for everybody, and hope you met the prereqs, How do you cover different experience levels? We'd love to hear from others. I have an opinion on this, but I've been talking a lot. So anybody want to help Craig out with this question?
It's me again.
Yeah, you're good.
I think there's always a need to have some common and foundational and or generic training that all will be level set at, but definitely has to have some role level and could also imply the level of executive versus team level training as well. I think there needs to be a combination of both.
Yeah.
And then you tailor the training to the audience.
Yeah. We have a saying at KaiRise, it's we're tightly aligned on vision and loosely coupled in our approach. We're tightly aligned on vision and loosely coupled on our approach. What we mean by that is our vision is to make sure that we provide self-paced, on-demand training that's high quality, engaging, it's fun, it's exciting to be a part of. It's we're aligned towards bringing foundational training, but we're loosely coupled, meaning we can using micro-learning practices, we can take out bits of the training and make it available to, as Frank just mentioned, role specific. So for example, we're in the almost ready to release stages of a micro lessons around the 3 roles. Well, accountabilities they're called in Scrum guides in the latest. Sorry, the 3 accountabilities. I still struggle saying that. Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Team, and that'll be like, so that can be a micro lesson within a larger, so it's loosely coupled. I think there's an approach there that allows you to get reuse, and as trainers and facilitators, we can sort of operate in that way. That's one way we're trying to handle that question, covering different levels.
I have one one thought, one of the things that I've done in past engagements is community of practice, where I'll go ahead and make a 30-minute session to go ahead and discuss a specific thing that I basically
I
serve.
love that. That's brilliant. Yes. Yes. And do you do that? Do you mind me asking, do you do that by like maybe a job type or a skill, or what's been your experience with that?
I found it effective if you go ahead and do it by type or experience. You're going to use one or the other, or maybe a
Okay.
combination. The biggest thing that will go ahead and make it successful is that they realize it's tailored for them. Oh yeah, this is something I need to know.
Okay. Yes. Yes. That makes sense. So they're coming there hungry. They know this is for me. And it's of value.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not forced into it too.
Well, the thing is, it's if you go ahead and advertise it, and say, this is the topic that we're going to cover.
Right.
So, just some thoughts.
No, I love it. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Here's that wonderful voting box that you get to choose. We can talk more about this, or we can move into the, oh, look, we got 3 ends right at, what, 4 ends. You guys are done. And 1 no preference. Okay, well, we'll move that forward. That is great. So we'll kind of throw this over here. And then we did have a comment on that. I wonder if we can, Craig said, is that minimize the work for tailoring the material, Craig? Was that kind of what you were saying in the comment there on the last topic? Yes, I see you in the chat window. Thank you, Craig, for sharing. Wonderful. Okay, so this one, lean transformation, microlearning, those were mine, and I double voted them. I would like to give Tracy, who's been very quiet, probably our last one. So I'm just gonna pull my facilitator role and move this one over. Tracy says, I have concerns with getting leadership to give up requiring waterfall timelines. Yes, to status on agile transformations. So any recommendations for leading up? Tracy, can you give us maybe 1 additional minute on that? Can you go ahead and unmute? We'd love to hear from you. Any more on this? Assuming Tracy's still here, maybe she's not. I see that she's not with us anymore. Okay, well, we're going to try to give Tracy a chance. We can talk about this as a group. Yeah, I've been on teams a lot. I work in the federal space in my day job. My after hours job is Kairos, but in my day job, and our clients have come from a waterfall background, and they want the Gantt chart, and they want the red, yellow, green dashboard. They want earned value delivery metrics. They want SPI, CPI. What's your cost performance index? Is it sub 1%? All that. Like, they want all that, and we give it to them. We give it to them. What we can't do is just sort of show up and say, haha, we're agile, we don't do that anymore. So we really want to be able to fill the gap for them. And for me, my experience shows and demonstrates this over and over again. The best way to do that is to deliver small batches of shippable product every sprint. And when you start doing that over and over and over, they start watching the dashboarding and earned value delivery metrics and project plan less, and start watching the software in production more. I've seen this easily a dozen times on programs, both at the federal level, state level, but then even in nonprofit and for-profit. Like I showed you, I've worked in plenty of places. So for me, it's about delivery. It's about small batches of delivery over and over and over again. We make them meet our commitments. We make them meet our commitments. And when you see that, all those other things go away, because those are not based on trust. Those are based on, are you sure you're doing what you said? So that's my thoughts, but I'd love to hear from others.
This is Greg. So that transition's hard, and you're right, Mike. They're not going to just give up what they're used to, right? So they don't know otherwise. And so the angle I've looked at it is, you could look at a lot of the agile metrics and the data that you get from an agile perspective as sort of leading indicators that help guide and influence why the Gantt chart might not be right. So all of a sudden you start shifting that the other metrics are actually more valuable because they're insightful to what's going on, as opposed to trying to be we all know it's surprising how a Gantt chart always fits within the end date, but it's all the other metrics that are going to give you the insight on whether or not we have a chance of making that, right? Because we can always interview ourselves and make sure it fits within the date. Now, granted, they may not like that answer, but I think you can start to introduce that you've got other data that actually gives us better insight and better forecasting ability than what that Gantt chart is showing us. So as an idea.
I've got a thought on that, if I may.
Please.
One of the things that I've done is I've come up with story mapping.
Oh yeah.
Actually going ahead and using a story map. And just as an example, okay, if I was going to build something like Outlook, okay, I know I've got contacts, I know I've got calendar, I know I have email, stuff like that. What I'd want to do is go ahead and figure out all the details involved with that to a specific degree, that, we want to look at this feature, this feature, this feature. And then when I present it, I'd go ahead and say, this way, we're going to go ahead and instead of cutting it vertically, we're going to go ahead and release it horizontally so that they can see it as it develops. The other thing that I also point out is, because having been a PMP too, is what does that earned value number tell you? Does it tell you how good the product is? Does it tell you that, okay, we're really going to sell it? The thing is understanding, starting to see what can be built and what can be changed when we might find out that, yeah, we're going off on the wrong track. But giving them an alternative that's business specific and features an actual working software that demonstrates features, okay, is a good alternative to that, because the Gantt chart's not going to give it to you.
Right. Excellent approach there, Jim. Well done. Well done. I love it. Well, hey, listen, that is going to wrap it for us. I'm going to end the lean coffee. Really want to, encourage you guys that as you go out there and do great Agile things, feel free to use tools like Lean Coffee Table to improve your next meeting. We are KaiRise, and as a part of our approach to bringing training in an Agile perspective, would encourage you to visit kairise.com to learn more about us. Mindy and folks at Expert Agile, thank you so much. What a privilege to get to hang out with you tonight.